How consumerism took over America. Let's run it.
The United States is the epicenter of consumerism. While other countries have their own consumer niches and interests that may mimic or even precede the US versions, the United States is the fullest manifestation of our consumer-driven world.
Yeah, Americans just love spending money on shit that they don't feel like will affect them. But mainly that's because of like credit cards and shit. So like that $5 coffee, it's just the small purchases that add up, but it feels small in the moment. But then once you get that credit card bill, then you're like, fuck.
But while it is easy to see these viral moments and products as proof that people simply lack the willpower and the determination to live within their means or ignore some kind of novelty treat that everyone else is.
America's so go, go, go. So it's easy just to swing in a drive-thru and grab McDonald's, grab a Starbucks coffee. It's not like in Europe where they fucking work 4 or 5 hours a day. Not speaking for everyone, but like they're a lot more laid back out there. They have fucking 3-hour breaks in the middle of the day. It's not as go, go, go as it is out here.
And in line for, it actually reveals the systematic process that has been cultivated and designed over the course of generations to build the ultimate consumer culture. People living in the United States consume and spend more than any other country, and they have the biggest GDP by a huge margin.
And also, too, it's not like a lot of those European countries or any of those other countries that people aren't really eating dinner together as a family. They're just swinging by fucking Taco Bell.
Sure, they produce way more trash and they emit a huge amount of CO2 every single year, but from an economic perspective, the businesses that succeed in the United States go on to become some of the biggest on earth. The US economy has been the envy of the world for decades. Their cultural exports can be found on all corners of the globe, and the living standards and economic opportunities that exist in that country are unparalleled. But things are shifting. We are watching the world's most powerful economy shudder and creak in the chaotic and quickly changing world that we live in today. And
yeah, small businesses are just being driven out by those fucking big-ass corporations.
Relies on a population of people being able to buy, may be crumbling before our very eyes. This is the story of why Americans own so much shit. So if you are still watching at this point, that is great, because this is going to be a slightly different video than what we typically produce on this channel. Typically what we do here is we take a very specific trend within the world of consumerism, and then we zoom out to show you the context that is.
And it's also marketing too. Like Amazon. Every single company, whether you want to buy something on Amazon or you want to order something from Starbucks, and you could do it on your phone, the companies make it as easy as possible. They have certain colors on there, and they'll throw out deals here, deals there.
Today, we're doing kind of the opposite. We are going to try and understand and explain the chaos and absurdity of the consumer world in the United States on a broader and higher level. Also, we are not Americans, but we live in Canada and we face basically all the same issues, and our audience is based in the United States, so those are our biases. Bear those in mind. So there is a lot of crazy trends going on in the United States at any given time. And as we said off the top, there's always a lot of comments on our videos and articles online talking about how dumb people must be to buy into these trends, right? In many cases, there is a comment or two specifically talking about how this is a uniquely American experience. The European mind cannot comprehend insert blank, right? And this is a very natural human experience, right?
I've seen that shit. Be like, oh, I'm too European for this. Oh, is this how Americans really are? Is this how American schools really are? I see that shit all the time.
Right, to feel a little morally superior than somebody else when they do something that you think you surely would not do if you found yourself in their Jordans. Because listen, as a Canadian, most of our identity is basically explaining that we are not Americans, despite watching their news, eating all their food, buying into all the same trends. The consumption patterns of the average United States resident is a story of human psychology hacked and manipulated to drive a particular kind of mindless consumption that we really don't see anywhere else to this degree. It's a story of fear and anxiety and other emotional triggers soothed by a single medicine: buying more stuff. For example, we made a video very recently about the Starbucks bear cups that went super viral.
Yeah, people like trends, man.
And in many ways, it is one of the saddest versions of this story that we've told so far. The cup is unremarkable. There's a lot of versions of this that have existed for a while, and the worst part is it's kind of useless in all the ways that a cup is supposed to be useful. It doesn't fit in any cup holders, it's hard to clean, and it's not particularly good as a vessel for holding beverages.
Yeah, but are you supposed to actually like drink out of that? I don't know, I feel like that's one of those you kind of just like keep it a fucking on a shelf. Like you just don't use.
Because it's not insulated in any way. But the thing is, it's just a slightly dumber version than the Stanley tumblers that we saw before it, or the Labubus, or the dozens of other
the fucking Labubus were a problem.
Trends that have captured this same feeling over the course of 2025. And we actually have a sequel to this episode that we're going to be releasing as our last video of the year, where we break down and rank all of the trends of 2025 and how they've shaped our culture. So if you're interested in that, make sure you're subscribed. But today we are going to be talking about why any person would wait outside of a Starbucks at 4 a.m. to enthusiastically throw their money into the mouths of one of the most powerful companies in US history for a product that is almost categorically useless.
It's just a fucking, it's like a collector's item. I don't know, man. Like, I fucking collect vinyls. Like, I don't really give a shit about, like, a Starbucks bear, but, like, I get people like collecting different shit.
The consumerism story is the erosion of communities and the focus on the individual, hyper-individuality. The United States is one of the most car-centric places on Earth, and it is the birthplace of the American dream.
I kind of ran into this problem too, because I just got rid of my car a few months ago and it had over 200,000 miles on it, right? And I wanted to buy a cheaper car that I could just pay in cash, because then I wouldn't be in any debt. But then the problem was it would still be a cheaper, high mileage car, so then I would just have the same problem that I ran into before, and I would just keep dumping money into it. I took out a loan. Can't buy a decent car for that cheap anymore.
Between all of these culturally entrenched norms, you see that increased consumption is not necessarily a choice or a lifestyle. It is a requirement. Under this ideology, the normal path for any young person is to leave their family home as soon as they have finished high school and never go back. Now, around the world, this is a strange concept because
with this economy, it's not happening. But no, I mean, America is definitely not family oriented for the most part.
In a lot of other countries and cultures live intergenerationally, and they share resources amongst one another. But that's not particularly good for the economy, is it? From an economic standpoint, a teenager sent out into the world to fend for themselves is going to guarantee a certain amount of additional spending. They got to get their own place, get their own furniture, their own car, their own phone, and their own sense of self through the things that they buy. And this continues throughout life as you gain.
Yeah, I think that's good. Having independence, I think on one hand, it's like you should have that financial independence for yourself and not have to depend on anyone else. I also think that if you have a good relationship with your family, make sure to see them maybe more than like twice a year on the holidays. I think to revolve your life around them, that may be a bit much. And I'm not talking like when like having like a family, like a wife and a kids. I'm not talking like that. I'm not talking like immediate household, obviously. But no, I think you have to grow and become your own person. And if you're dependent on people for way longer than you need to be, I don't think you can grow the same way. I think you have to kind of struggle a little bit. I'm not trying to like be a fucking boomer, be that guy, but I mean, life is fucking hard. It's gonna kick you in the ass, you know what I mean? So I think a little bit of struggle is good for people.
The American suburb is the perfect manifestation of this. Now, to live in the suburbs, you will almost certainly need a car, which is statistically the second largest source of debt in US households. And that vehicle is on its own a whole web of additional costs and purchases just to run, from gas and parking and repairs and storage and its inevitable need to be replaced down the road. But this is really just a part of how the suburbs drive further growth and consumption. In the perfect suburb, everyone on the block has their own home and their own car and everything that they need to get by without needing anything from anyone else. So a couple weeks after moving into our house, my neighbor says, "Hey, Levi, do you want to borrow my lawnmower?" And I say, well, that's great, man. Thanks so much. He's like, how about you mow it tomorrow? Sure, I guess I could mow it tomorrow. He's like, great, I'll have it topped up with gas ready to go for you tomorrow. You can come and pick it up. So I take the hint that maybe my lawn wasn't mowed quite to his expectations, which is fine. You know what? The lawn did actually need to get mowed. But it brought up an interesting question for me, because after I'd finished mowing my lawn and I brought the lawnmower back to his house, the first thing that he asked me was, so what kind of lawnmower are you looking to buy? Implying that the lawnmower that I just borrowed from him was not really up for grabs again. Now, in the moment, I just sort of hummed and hawed about electric versus gas, blah, 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 blah. But in the back of my head, all I could think about was the fact that every single one of our neighbors up and down this street has their own mower, and they're all being used like 10, 15 times a year at most. It would be so easy for us to all just share a collective mower, but that is not how the suburbs work. Now,
It is interesting that suburban, I mean, because it's like, how many people do you have around you? But you probably know, like, barely any of them. Everyone's just living in their own world. Everyone's just doing their own thing.
Trying to cultivate my community and get to know my neighbors, and fortunately, a lot of my neighbors are awesome. But in the typical
I don't know. I mean, you know, I don't even mind. Old Midwest wave to them, but I mean, I don't know, man. Like, I'm friendly, but like, I'm not just like gonna go to people like, hello, neighbor. Would you like to come over for some chili? And you know what? Maybe as I age, that'll change. I think that plays a part in it too.
sharing is not caring. It's actually awkward and discouraged. But here is the thing. For a lot of people, and in a lot of ways, the American dream is dead.
Okay, to see the problem, I get what he's trying to say, but like the problem if like you have, you know, fucking 20 people on a street and you all just shared one lawnmower, and let's say it starts off with you, it goes down the other 19 people, and then comes back to you, right? Maybe somewhere down the middle, one of the guys fucked it up completely. The problem is that you don't know how people are gonna treat shit in general. Some people are going to take really good care of it. Some people aren't going to give a fuck.
People are holding onto their cars longer, holding onto their phones longer, and kids are staying home longer than ever, too. And that goes pretty much in the opposite direction of how this whole economy has to work. The basics, you know, the idea of a home and decent transportation and a job.
I think just right now everything's so fucked up, job market's so fucked up.
It is starting to feel harder and harder to find. But you know what is becoming easier to find? A cuddly and kind of scary furry doll keychain, or a burrito financed in installments, or a coffee with whipped cream and caramel sauce.
Gen Z spend money on goofy coffee and Chipotle. You know, should you go into debt for those things? No. But I also understand the fact that, like, you work a job, you're fucking gone out of the house for 12 hours. It's like you feel like you're doing so much, but you're getting no reward. So let me get this little thing to make myself feel better for a few minutes. And I'm not justifying it because honestly, people are going into mounds of debt for that shit. And I think there needs to be a balance because there's this whole thing of like, oh, Gen Z's taking all their money and all their savings and dropping it all on vacations and concerts and all that shit. Generational dynamics are just interesting because then you have like the boomers who worked their whole entire lives, saved every single penny, maybe fucking traveled to Florida once or twice, took their kids to Disney World, and that was it. And then they die. Oh, they had their 401k, they had their house. Just two extremes. I think finding a fucking healthy middle ground with that is reasonable.
Online world that validates your feelings and your purchases at every single turn. Like, surely we're not so incapable of independent thought that we can't just make better decisions, right? Well, it's hard to make an independent thought when there is a never-ending carousel of distractions that are designed to keep you engaged as long as possible, endlessly accessible from the phone.
Yeah, it's marketing, man. That's all it is. I was in that space. I tried all these online different business models. I did TikTok shop, and I learned there's some things I fucking learned. And I don't see the world, and I see the world much differently now. Imagine you're on fucking TV and an ad pops up for, let's say, a Capital One credit card. They'll see that once, and they'll be like, I don't even know why they have this up here. It's not like I'm going to see this ad and go, wow, let me go get this credit card. But it doesn't work like that. I'll tell you why they do those stupid ass ads. and why it also works. When you fucking sit there on the TV every single day, you see Capital One every single day, right? And then you're like, damn, I need a new bank. Damn, I need to go get a balance transfer. You're looking this shit up on Google and you see Capital One, instantly that'll fucking click with you. That'll click with you because you already saw those. You probably saw 10 ads. Before you looked this up on Google, you probably saw 10 ads about Capital One. So that's going to pop out to you immediately. And the same thing applies to every other fucking thing ever. Starbucks, Walmart, the fucking, when you're driving on the road, on the highway, and you see those fucking branded Walmart trucks, or branded this, branded that, it's the same shit. You see it. It's this repetition. You see it, you see it, you see it, you see it. And then it's just in the back of your fucking head. You don't pay much mind to it, but then when it comes time to make a fucking decision of where your money's gonna go, you remember what you saw 10 fucking times when you're driving on the road, when you're watching TV, when you're scrolling on your phone.
We're here at the end of 2025, realizing that somehow we are constantly battling for our own attention. We used to be bored, but now we're overstimulated constantly by a
We're so overstimulated. Shit that makes us bored now would probably be stimulating to us back 15, 20 years ago.
barrage of information that we didn't ask for, that is specifically curated and designed to hack into our emotions. And the people feeding
Even 5 years ago, 10 years ago. The shorts, once like short clips came out, that fried everyone's fucking attention span.
us that content are quite literally the most powerful people and companies on this planet. Now, when I say something dramatic like that, you're probably imagining, the Googles, the Metas, and the billionaires that we see today, using the people and the planet as their playground to create as much money for themselves as possible. But this has actually been going on for generations in the United States. Pretty well since the radio, we have slowly been taught to watch and to listen to the voices coming from a screen or a device rather than the voices of our neighbors and our community. We are a highly reactive and very emotional bunch of monkeys with a surprisingly good grasp of mathematics, but our nervous system has a disturbing inability to discern a lion attack from a video that we just saw on TikTok. And marketers and companies have been using those emotional triggers to manipulate us into buying products for ages.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. And what I was saying, it ain't nothing new. That's always how it's been. It's sneaky, bro.
The desire to belong within a group for safety and security is a fundamental human desire that backdrops every single marketing tool that we see out there today, and it works so extremely well. But in the United States, it is at another level.
The US is one of the countries with the most advertising on the entire planet. And people talk about that when they come to the US to visit. I actually just saw a TikTok this morning. This guy, he's from the UK and he was visiting New York. And just walking around New York, going to the grocery store, going to the bodega, etc., there's so much casual advertising in New York versus what he sees in every day in London. It's not like that he's going from a rural place to a city. It's specifically the US culture around advertising and how much we're expected to buy.
As a Canadian, every time that I've ever gone to the United States, it's like you cross the border and the billboards just
Isn't it not like that in Canada? Maybe I'm off about what I said earlier. I thought it would be fucking similar. I don't know.
like appear out of nowhere. There is just so much advertising in that country. But today, things have been taken up to an entirely new level. It's estimated that we see upwards of 5,000 ads per day compared to 500
Maybe 5,000 ads a day.
in the 1970s.
Was it just like with commercials, driving on the road, on whatever's on the phone?
But that's not necessarily going to guarantee a sale, right? So they have to make it as easy and convenient for you as possible to turn that emotional reaction into a purchase decision.
If we're expanding on the amount of ads we see today versus the 70s, I mean, first of all, we have access to more.
Yeah, because it takes, you need to see a product 5, 6, 7 times, try to even get convinced to buy it. It's not like you just see it once and be like, I'm getting this is mine. Not for the most part, anyways.
Screens, which is definitely a big factor. But I also think
that's why it's like that subliminal, like you're going to see the Capital One ad 10 times, and then once it comes time to get a new card or bank balance transfer, then you're like, oh, Capital One, I remember those ads.
Advertising is more necessary when products are worse because it requires more convincing and more magical thinking and more embedded ideology in order for you to be convinced to buy a shitty thing. The whole function of our economy is like, if we don't sell shitty things, then we run out of things to sell. In the 1920s, they invented a bunch of like mass producible stuff, like the automobile and the refrigerator and the washing machine, and everyone had a radio. Because there was so much demand for this stuff, everybody got jobs producing it. And then by the end of the 1920s, everybody had everything already, and they didn't.
Crazy the difference between 100 years ago and now. Like, the world is a completely different place, and I can't even imagine what it's going to look like 100 years from today.
Make stuff that breaks every 2 years like they do now. The whole US economy was like, oh, okay, we can't make stuff that functionally lasts a long time because then everybody will have everything they need, which is a really bad thing. Oh, what if we could just do all of our production that we normally do, but for stuff that explodes? And and then they did that. They just built like bombs and tanks and stuff. Oh, this stuff gets destroyed after a while, and then we make new stuff, and we have a constant production process. What if we could do that with consumer goods? And so they started making stuff that explodes.
Yeah, disposables.
EVs are actually a perfect example of that. Those things fucking explode sometimes, so.
Now, for a long time, this system has turned people into consumers by creating the context where it was the cultural expectation to buy and keep buying as much stuff as possible. And this whole system relied on a very strong economy, easy access to debt, and an endless list of...
Yeah, the easy access to debt. Like, if you want to go to Disney World, you can open up a Disney credit card. And they have, like, perks of, like, 6 months, 0 interest, shit like that.
Things that you are being...
You can literally fucking buy now, pay later Taco Bell from DoorDash. Like, what?
Told you need to be happy. As the generations have gone by, we've noticed that the cost to keep up with this story isn't really being matched by our wages. And so what has happened is people are going further and further into debt to try and maintain this dream. Household debt in the United States is at an all-time high right now. And along with it, we're seeing a bit of an awakening. Slowly, it seems like people are starting to realize that they were forced into the system against their will, and that it isn't for the consumer's benefit, but for the benefit of those who sell the products. And as the American dream dies for millions of normal people, we see the system not bailing them out, not trying to help regular people get back on their feet. It's just...
The system is designed to just barely keep people afloat. So you can still have your car, still have your house, still have your apartment. You can still get your little fucking coffees, but you're going to be in an endless cycle of debt for your entire life.
Squeezing harder.
You go to college, go in debt. Oh, you want to get rid of your old car from high school, get rid of it, go into debt, get a new car, get a mortgage, go into debt. And on top of that, all the credit card debt that you've accumulated because you wanted to buy your Starbucks, your Chipotle, medical bills, things like that.
To try and get more money out of people in order to bring profits back to shareholders. And this is playing out all over the place. Like, it is on store shelves and it is on news feeds and everything, but it's also happening on political stages and in boardrooms, and it's somehow just getting worse. Where in the past, companies had to at least sort of put up the veil of being sincere and well-intentioned with green marketing or a rainbow during Pride Month, we are now seeing a shift away from any kind of ideological signaling to just openly hostile attempts to try and gouge us for our money and attention. Because they know that the more that we argue about the logo of our favorite restaurant or the intentions of a viral ad campaign, the more that we're distracted from the things that actually matter. We've been making videos on this.
Yeah, dude, it's just fucking distractions. None of this shit matters. Like, it's crazy how popular things can get for like a week and then just never talked about again.
This channel about marketing manipulation and consumerism for 4 years, and the shift in the last year has been astounding. As we watch millions of people across the US losing their jobs, going further and further into debt, we are also watching the tactics of capitalism squeezing people harder than ever while profits for billionaires keep going up. And it just feels like at some point there's
Yeah, it's just dissolving the middle class.
just not going to be any more money for the system to keep operating the way that it does, right? Gambling's everywhere now, even for kids. We have increasingly addictive products that are being pushed on us every single day. New substances that you can use to screw up your life. Like, we run a YouTube channel talking about how messed up consumerism is, and it's genuinely hard for even us to keep up with all of the scams that are going on nowadays. So the next time that you see a product that is selling like crazy, that just makes you want to shake your head, remember that there are millions and millions of dollars and some of the most sophisticated psychological engineering going on to make that possible. And that very likely, if you were in their circumstance, you'd be doing the same thing too.
Wow, W video. If you like, subscribe, leave a comment, do the thing. Bye.
Got these voices in my head, I got some things will never change. Never change, at least I'll say it.